I am so sick of IU basketball being average. They've been average my entire life. Indiana basketball, one of the greatest basketball traditions in the world. And we have been the most average, bottom feeding, average team in my entire life. 29 years of just patheticness since Bob Knight. We hired an absolute cheater. We hired a coach who I think was kind of weird. We hired a guy who doesn't get it done. It doesn't matter. We've hired them all. We've had programs. Oh my God. We've had programs of just absolute fools on the team. We got guys right now who spend more time dancing to TikTok like women than playing basketball. We got a roster that's paid a bunch of money. We've had a roster that was illegal. We've had a roster right now that paid money that is legal, and we still suck. It is a patheticness, and I'm so absolutely tired of it. This is our chance to finally pick a coach who can win. To finally have a coach who can build a culture. This is our chance. The guy that they should get, no matter what. I don't care what it costs either. You go get Brad Stevens. And I'm going to talk in this video about why Brad Stevens should be the guy. And I'm also going to talk about a few other coaches as well that are currently in the rumor mill. But geez, this first rant for me is just an abomination. And I'm so sick of seeing pathetic IU fans. You guys are losers if you think that IU has been good at all in the last 29 years. Green Bay couldn't even make a Final Four with 2 top 10 draft picks. And he's like the best guy that we've had. Every single season, we lose to Purdue. How do you lose to Purdue? They're an engineering school. Their colors are puke, yellow, gold, and black. And we lose to them every single year. It's just mind-blowing. It's just mind-blowing that in the last 30 years, Butler basketball and Purdue have been the schools of basketball in the state of Indiana. And IU has just been absolute embarrassment. Wow. Okay, on to the future. There we go. I got to say, I did think Mike Woodson was going to be good because he was Bob Knight, coach of the Knicks, NBA. I thought he was able to turn it around, but I was wrong on that one. I was excited about Archie Miller. I always hated Tom Crean. And the guy before that, I forget, and Sanson I hated too. So I'm a diehard Bob Knight fan. I really like Bob Knight. I got the floor right here, obviously. I had family members at the school when Bob Knight won a few of his championships. So obviously a big Bob Knight guy, though his intensity was probably too much at times. All right, let's start going through things before I get to the actual Brad Stevens run of it. But Dusty May, Michigan's coach, what's interesting about him? 2 things. Number one, he was the team manager for Bob Knight team, I think, in '87. So he's definitely rooted in his passion for Indiana. He's currently, once again, the Michigan coach. But to be a team manager, all right, that's not a lot of reward. That's not a lot of, camera flashing. I mean, that's in a way a grunt job. So you really got to love basketball. You really got to love Indiana to be a team manager. One thing I like about Dusty May as well is he took FAU to the Final Four, and that's what I think we want, right? What was Bob Knight really good at, a.k.a. what is also Brad Stevens really good at? It's about having less talent on a roster and winning basketball games, a.k.a. winning with intelligence. Why are you dribbling left? What is the reason for that left dribble? I mean, the details of the details. All right, that's how you actually win long-term. You don't win long-term with more talent. Why did Kentucky only win 1 championship with Calipari? Because you don't win with talent. You win with structure and intelligence. That's what wins. Any dynasty you look at in sports, all right, multiple championships. How do they do that? Intelligence. What's the smartest dynasty in the history of football? The Patriots dynasty. All right, you had Belichick defense, and you had Tom Brady, the best pre-snap reader in the history of the sport of football. So that's what we need. Any coach has got to be someone who can win with less talent. And that's why I think Dusty May has brought Michigan back from the freaking swamps of the last coach's stupidness. And so I think if you give him a shot, fine. I like the team manager. I think that's passion for IU. Next guy, Scott Drew, Baylor, 482 wins total. Baylor was literally not even a basketball school. I mean, utterly a joke. All right, he gets there. He builds it up. They got a really good program. I don't know if he would leave, but I think he's a guy that IU has to look at in terms of a winner, a guy who's built a culture out of nothing. If he comes here, maybe he can explode IU with the jumping board that is IU basketball. And if you're not an IU fan, okay, IU has the second or first biggest alumni network. It's either them or Penn State. IU fans are through and through extremely passionate, and they support the school like you wouldn't believe. Go anywhere. I mean, I go everywhere with IU shit because I love to meet people at a bar and be like, yo, oh, IU. And you start drinking with them and you learn. It's just awesome. Immediate connection is IU. And IU basketball is the foundation of that school. Though I love Signetti. Smoking Sick Signetti is awesome. Steve Alford, obviously he comes up a lot. He was, the main guy, I believe, in 87's team. But, would he come back? I don't know. I feel like they would have already hired him. We'll see what Scott Dolson, the new athletic director, does. But he hired Kirk Signetti. That seems like a grand slam. We'll see what he does. But I just put him on the list. I put Dan Dawkins for fun. But, he's a local radio guy. He's also an Outkick. I'm trying to get him on the show. He said he would come on the show, but he's not coming on the show. Dan, what the hell? But, yeah, so we'll try to get him on the show. Maybe talk about this. All right, then let's now talk about Brad Stevens. All right, I know I'm rambling, but this is more passion than anything. They offered him before, I believe the rumor is they offered him in the past 7 years, $70 million, $10 million a year. Okay, so he turned down $70 million a year, or a $70 million contract. Pay his ass double what anyone else is making. Give him $20 million. You heard that right. Pay him a ridiculous amount of money. He's the big fish. He's the guy we all want. We want Brad Stevens. And I'm going to get into why. But if you're wondering, oh, they can't pay him $20 million. What do you mean they can't pay him $20 million? The football team is now a source of revenue of which IU's never had. If you just literally start an NIL network of IU people chipping in $1, a bunch of people, they would do that. The school's a massive school, one of the biggest campuses because of all these other satellite schools. They have shit tons and endless money. They have two billionaires who are extremely passionate about basketball and football, one being Todd Wagner, who I actually met when I was at IU because he was giving an entrepreneurship speech. He's a billionaire. Of course, you have Mark Cuban, who allegedly bought out Archie like 5 years ago. There's plenty of money at Indiana to pay Brad Stevens, and way more than anyone else. Bill Self, I believe, makes $10 million. Cool. We're going to give Brad Stevens $15 to $20 million a year. We're going to give him an offer he can't refuse. And trust me, if he wins the championships and brings back IU, you're not going to have money issues. And he's the guy. Okay? He's the guy. And why is he the guy? Butler plus NBA. It's the perfect marriage. Okay? At Butler, let's review this real quick. Go back down memory lane. All right? Finkel Fieldhouse. Very legendary field house. It's where they film the Hoosiers. It's literally like 23 minutes away from me right now. All right, I live decently close to Butler. In 2010, he took the Gordon Hayward, Mack, and Howard trio. All right, guys that no one knew their names until the tournament, and it was in Indianapolis. He goes on. I think they were like the 11th seed or something like that. He beats Syracuse, the number 1 seed. He beats freaking Kansas, he beats Michigan State, and he loses to Duke, Mike Krzyzewski, 61-59, where Gordon Hayward potentially could have hit a buzzer beater. Do you know how good of a coach you have to be to take Butler to the national championship game? Butler, literally Butler. They're in the Horizon League. Did you even know there's a league? They might be in the ACC now. I have no idea. But they were in the Horizon League. And he took Butler to the national championship. Wow. Then he went to the NBA. No, he didn't. He stayed another year. And then without his best player, Gordon Hayward, who I think was a top 15 pick in the NBA draft that year, he went to again, the national championship game. And he lost to who? UConn. Which UConn team? With Kimball Walker, one of the greatest college basketball players in the history of the sport of college basketball. And that was 2011, the next year. He went to back-to-back national championship games at Butler. The first time he did it, he had 3 really good players. I would say 1 really good player, 2 pretty good players. And then the next year, he had Mack, who became really good, and he still had Howard, who was extremely intelligent center. They beat Old Dominion, not a big deal, Pittsburgh, who was ranked, from my notes, number 1, Wisconsin, and then Florida, who's ranked number 2. So, I mean, Wisconsin, Florida, solid teams throughout, especially that era. And then they lost to UConn, who was the number 1 seed in the entire tournament, in the championship game. What does Brad Stevens do really well? Communication, smart, intelligence, and he has the perfect temperament for dealing with these guys of today. Right? He coaches you tough. He has the Tony Dungy, us Indiana people. He's got the Tony Dungy leadership mentality of the standard is the standard. I'm not going to yell at you, but I'm going to coach you on the details. And if you're not going to meet the standard, guess what? You're not going to play, and there's no discussion. There's no arguments. Right? He's going to teach you intelligence, fundamental system basketball. All right? He goes to the NBA. What does he do? He coaches a team. They had too much talent. Everyone was me guys. He doesn't win. He becomes a GM. He gets the right pieces. He makes smart moves. He's able to visualize teams, visualize talent, how to put them together. And boom, they literally slept walk last year to win an NBA title. This guy is special. This guy is worth the money. If Indiana's going to ever be worth anything, you take big risks, because choosing the hot guy out of Dayton, wow, you want it Dayton, let's bring him in, isn't going to work. All right, Brad Stevens is not the hot guy out of Dayton. Okay, he didn't make it to the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8, and oh wow, we'll just give him a stepping stone. No. He took his team all the way to the big dance, and that's probably just the best those teams could have done, winning with such probably lesser talent versus a Duke or a UConn that was an extremely special team. Probably just wasn't going to happen. But getting there and beating the other teams, that's coaching, that's discipline, that's team culture, that's toughness, and it's everything that IU is not. So I'm sitting here thinking, if you hire, Dusty May, Scott Drew, like, okay, fine. I know there's some other guys going on the rumor mill, but okay, fine. But I'm just saying IU and Indiana basketball, if you're serious and you really want IU to win, then you better call the kid from Zionsville who went to Coach Knight camps, who had Coach Knight come to Butler and speak to his team, who studied Bob Knight, who is an IU guy through his passion as a youngster, who went to Butler, built a program, did unthinkable things, goes to the NBA, coaches there, pretty good success, becomes a GM, gets the right pieces involved, wins an NBA title. That is the guy to get. That is the qualifications that get you to $15 or $20 million a year. You just do it and you go for it all. Because the drought since '87 is just an absolute embarrassment. Because if you don't get this right, Signetti and the boys over on the football, about 100 yards apart, you have the Assembly Hall and you got a Memorial Stadium. This school is about to become a football school. And why not have both? And if you ask Alabama how Alabama's doing, all right, this is a little side tangent, but if you ask Alabama how Alabama's enrollees were doing in terms of people coming from all over the country because the football team was good, that's what happens. Your school starts making even more money, and merchandise goes insane. Your NIL goes back. Everyone wants to be part of IU. So you just get a little bit of investment of the right guy. And I think that is without a doubt Brad Stevens. I've been wanting it for years. This is the time. He went to the NBA. He coached. He's been a GM. He's won a title. I think he may be looking for the next challenge. And guess what? Indiana, Bloomington is an amazing place to live. It's got a great culture. It's a small town vibe. It is literally the greatest campus I've ever been on. And I've been on various ones across the country through my time. All right? Wow. All passion on this one. Please consider subscribing. We had a really good run in college football. Last couple of weeks, we've gotten 0 views. We hit 1,000 subscribers, lost a couple subscribers. We're battling back. It's just having a young channel. It's all about continually making content, speaking passion, speaking schemes. My main bread and butter is football, talking schematics, and also my passion for Wrigley Field, Wrigleyville, and the Chicago Cubs. You can check out my hats. I got merch. They're really cool. Beers by the Ivy hats. Got a bunch, sell the posters. But best thing you do is subscribe. If you go in the link below, I got stickers for free for anyone who's a subscriber. Just subscribe, go down. You fill out this form. I'm getting stickers made to send out to the folks who have subscribed. So something we're doing here, pretty cool. Love for you to be here, of course. And yeah, definitely go IU. If you're watching this, you're probably an IU fan or like someone ranting about their team who's been terrible for, 50 years or whatever the hell it's been. All right, guys. I will be in the news watching this and probably making more content on IU basketball. And yeah, go IU, baby. Go IU.